Hello everyone. Hopefully this is working. Let me know in the chat if audio works fine. Yes. Welcome to this impromptu live stream I thought I would do because I have an episode of the Ubuntu podcast that I need to edit, and so I thought I'd get on and do that on a live stream. Why not? Can't see any. What could possibly go wrong? Oh dear me. So I notice there are people in the chat. Hello to everyone in the chat. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, then do let me know. Also, if you're watching this later on, feel free to leave comments underneath. I should mention I've been involved in the Ubuntu podcast for nearly 13 years and around about that amount of time, and I'm not a professional at this, so anything you see me do, it's entirely possible I'm doing it wrong. Feel free to leave a comment and tell me how I'm doing it wrong. That would be perfectly fine. Thanks very much. So according to the experts in the chat, they say the audio is good. Super. So hello to Linux engineer in Brazil, golly, and also Wellington Costa from Brazil. Daniel, I know where you are, just down the road, and Wayne is in Western Australia. Gosh. And Martin, he's literally probably the closest person out of all of you. Martin, I would suspect, is the nearest person to me. He lives in a town just down the road. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to use Audacity, aren't I? That's what I said I was going to do, and that's what I should do. So let's just switch to this. And so we record the podcast online. We're not in the same room anymore. Nothing viral, but it's just more convenient for us to all be in our own houses. And in the past, we used Mumble and would chat via Mumble, and so we could hear each other. But locally, we record with one of a number of pieces of software, either Audacity or something called Audio Recorder or whatever, really, just something that can spit out a FLAC. And then we share those files, and then whoever's responsibility it is for editing edits it. And that's fun. None of us really like doing it. We're not experts at it, and it's some people write in to tell us we do a terrible job at it. So we share the files using a tool called SyncThing, and so I have this this folder, Ubuntu Podcast, on my laptop, which synchronizes with a similar folder on the other presenters' machines. And after each episode, we just drop our individual audio files in this thing called Studio Recordings. And you'll see there our consistent naming convention there. It's like roughly UPC, Ubuntu Podcast, your name, and then the episode. Notice lack of consistency, capitalization there. Yeah, brilliant. And whoever's going to edit will take those and make a show out of it. So I'm going to, first of all, what I'm going to do is make a temporary directory that I'm going to edit the show in, because it's not a good idea to edit stuff inside a SyncThing or Dropbox style folder, because if you do that, all the edits you make end up being synchronized to all the other machines, and so you end up whizzing loads of data across the network, which is basically dumb. So I'm just going to create a new folder. Oh no, how do you create folders? What should we call this? S13E06 is what I'll call it. So I've now got a folder where I'm going to work in, and what I'll do is I'll just take the files, the studio recordings. I'll just copy those and stick them in here. Hello. Pretty sure I just did copy, but I clearly failed. I can't even copy and paste files. Like, Oh gosh, there's loads of chat going on. Feel free to ask questions or suggest things. Yeah, Daniel says, if I were a presenter of the podcast, I'll probably put random names in the episode. So, it's funny you should mention that. Our good friend Joe Ressington used to edit the show when he was employed by JB. And I used to do exactly that. Daniel, I would screw around with his naming convention because I'm a terrible person. So I now have 3 files, and what I'm just going to do is I'm going to drag them into Audacity, and it will import them. And then what I'll do is I'll save the project, because Audacity sometimes crashes, and it's a good idea to save often in order to prevent data loss. Oh gosh, new people coming in. Hello Vince, hello Martin, Bahadir, Matthias. Hello Matthias, I hope you slept well. Matthias was up late last night playing with 2004. Burnsy, hello, and Joshua and Ferren, hello. So the question that was asked in there, what machine are you editing on? I'm actually editing on, this is a good question. I'll show you. The easiest thing is for me to just show you. I could run NeoFetch or something like that. That would be, yeah, let's do that. Let's open a terminal and I run NeoFetch. There we go. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing it on my trusty ThinkPad, of course. My ThinkPad T450. Oh, man. These headphones are terrible. I'm using a pair of headphones where the cable keeps falling out. Or if I get excited and wave my hands around, I manage to knock the cable out of my headphones. Right. So this is the machine I'm using, but you can edit on basically anything. Audacity isn't particularly demanding. Some of the audio processing options you choose might chew up a bit of CPU, but not tremendously. I'm hoping we didn't swear in this at all. We shall see. Yeah, sometimes Audacity does crash. So I'm going to save, and we're going to put this in there, and I'm just going to call it Season 13, Episode 06.aup, which is an Audacity projects file. And so by putting it in there, it's making a copy of all those files, so they're outside my sync thing folder, and it's all good. Excellent. So Burnsy also has a T series, a T430. Ooh, T430. That'll be the first series where they had the chiclet keyboards, isn't it? S. Ooh, is S the slimline one? Anyway, Julian asks, how can I set up an equalizer to my mic in Ubuntu, e.g. for video conferences? I have never done that, but I understand there is a piece of software called Pulse Equalizer. Have a search. I think OMG Ubuntu have written about it. Anyway, this is just me getting started, putting all the files in Audacity. We actually have a guide that we've written that we use to go through the steps, and I'll briefly show it to you. There you go. It's we have it as a PDF. I don't think there's any problem sharing this, but I'm not going to share the whole thing yet. I'm just going to go through it. But basically, this is the steps that we go through to edit the S is the slim model. Yes. Yeah, Joshua was right. Audio editing can be done on basically any PC. It's when you do video that it all goes horribly wrong. And this is one reason why we don't do video. It's because ain't nobody got time for that, is what's going on there. Now, I'm going to turn on desktop audio. So if I play in Audacity, just a random part of this program, you should hear it.
I was delighted.
Oh, that's very loud. So I'm going to try and turn that down. That's still stupendously loud for me, but that I assume that's much quieter for you. Let me know if you... Yeah, you can't hear that at all, can you?
I missed horribly once I started using GNOME, so I was so pleased.
There we go. So I have only recently started getting used to the keyboard shortcuts in Audacity. The main ones that I'm going to be using is this little area over here. This thing here to move things around, which is F5. And I kind of have to have my hand like halfway across the keyboard to get to F5. And that's so that I can move pieces. And F1, which is the bit where I select chunks like that. And zooming is also super useful, which is Control 1 and Control 3. So you put your cursor somewhere and then Control 1 and it zooms in, and Control 3 zooms out. Those are like the main things I'm going to do. And then sometimes I'll need to cut it at some point, so I will probably cut it somewhere around about there. and then Control I is a way to cut. So I've edited a few shows recently, and learning those keyboard shortcuts has accelerated the editing process tremendously. So the first thing it says I have to do is import all the FLAC files into separate audio tracks. There'll be slightly different lengths and volumes, but should all start at roughly the same point. So when we start recording, we we have a little ritual at the start. Where can we see it anywhere? That's see this chunk of silence here. We do a chunk of silence, and if I play that, I don't know if you can hear. You probably can't hear this. If I turn the volume up, you might. There's some background noise there. So we have 15. That's us all breathing back in again. We have some silence in there, which we use to do noise cancellation. I'll come back to that a little bit later. But before we do that, we count. Who was running the show this day? Was it me? I think it was. So here you'll hear me. That's my audio track. That's Martin's audio track, and that's Mark's. And here you'll hear me say 3, 2, 1, and then biscuits. 3, 2, 1.
Biscuits.
And the idea is, yes, biscuits. And the idea is we line up all our audio. And that's the way we do it. We line up all our audio by saying 3, 2, 1, biscuits. So yeah, you can see the waveform there for 3, 2, 1, and then that's all three of us saying biscuits. But as you can see, they're all out of line. So what I do is just nudge them all over this way a little bit. So I've got a bit of a gap at the front, and then I switch to the selection tool, and in theory they should all be in line with kind of that, which they won't be because I've just moved them all. So I'm just going to move them all roughly. 3, 2, 1. That's me saying biscuits there. Just going to move them roughly, and then what I'll do is we'll zoom. Whoops. We will F1 zoom to this area here, which I don't know what the function key for that is. Control fit project to width F. No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted that one. Well, I don't really want that one. Anyway, what I'm trying to do is line up these bits here, so they all line up. So we all say biscuits at the same time, because that way we're not interrupting each other or talking over each other. Yannick, hello Yannick from the what's your podcast called? Tea Earl Grey Hot, I think, and they go with 3, 2, 1, engage. Brilliant. Tell me.
2, 1, biscuits.
Perfect. So let me know if you can hear the audio when I'm doing this playing. Like
3, 2, 1, biscuits.
it shouldn't be too loud. I don't really want it to be too loud for you. Right. So they're all lined up now. Control scroll up down for zooming. Oh man, is that true? Oh, that's just. Does it zoom to wherever the mouse is? See, this is why I'm doing this, is to learn these great tips from you people. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Right, so somewhere around here, I mean, I just lost it. Where was it? It was there. That's us going 3, 2, 1 biscuits. So we do that, and then we have a giggle. I don't know why we're giggling.
I know, I can see you.
Yep. I don't know what Martin's going to say there, so I'm going to cut it. So then we all breathe in and we do 15 seconds of silence. And once we've done that, that is what we're using for noise removal on the rest of the track. So the tracks are aligned. I need to top and tail them, but I can't top and tail them until the episode starts. So I'm going to do the noise reduction first, then top and tail them. So the way I would do noise reduction is pick the largest chunk of sound, which is where we held our breath. So that's us holding our breath and then breathing out. And then go to Effect, Noise Reduction, Get Noise Profile, and then Effect. There's a button to redo that. Is it Control R? Is it Control R? Control R. Redo. No, that's not what it did. Effect, Noise Reduction, Get Noise Profile. And then you select the entire track and do Effects, Noise Reduction, and then we just use the default settings and say OK, and that gets rid of that background noise out of that track. Also, middle click. Roll. Interesting. Thank you, Joshua. This is really... I'm so glad I did this. Because this is what I wanted to do, is learn some better ways of using Audacity. And I think you learn better by actually doing it and having other people in your chat telling you you're doing it wrong. So, much appreciated. I knew there must have been some way. It's a little bit too quiet. Super quiet. Okay, I'll turn it up a little bit. If I can get the mouse on the right display, I'm going to turn it up to about there. Okay. Oh gosh, this is taking a while, isn't it? Doesn't normally take this long, but my CPU is also encoding this video. The second item in the effect menu is always the last effect you used. Okay. Oh, interesting. So it keeps it at the top of the menu, does it? Audacity UI is designed for left-hand keyboard, right-hand mouse. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. I have my trusty ThinkPad mouse. I'm not using the nipple today. So then I'll save. I have to save frequently. And then we do the same thing with Martin's audio. Select that chunk in the middle, which, if you listen, you probably can't hear it, but there is a lot of background noise there. I think Martin had a jet engine running. So effect. Repeat noise reduction. So it is. But I don't think that does the right thing, because you need to do two things in this dialogue. Step 1 and step 2. You've got to do that first. I don't want to destroy this by doing the wrong thing. And then you do that. Bop. Save early, save often. Yes, Nate, you're absolutely right. Welcome, Cubicle Nate. YouTube comments were made to inform the user that they're wrong. This is very true. I recently had an interesting conversation on my YouTube chat in one of my videos, and lengthy conversation back and forth between myself and a commenter, and then they deleted it, and so that's all gone. Yes, don't scroll down, don't read the comments. Yes, Yannick mentioned it is Tea Earl Grey Hot, which is his podcast that he does with Dave Lee, and I don't know who else is on it. Is it Dave Lee, you, and someone else? I think Martin Wimpress was on it recently. I'm not a big Star Wars fan, so I'll just save that. You accidentally save web pages. I do exactly the same. I press save while I'm in the middle of some web page. Effect, noise reduction, get noise profile, then click the thing and then go effect, noise reduction, and okay. I don't know if it's called a Think Mouse. What's it called? It's called a Bluetooth Laser Mouse. This is a Lenovo one. It's after Lenovo bought the ThinkPad branding, but it's my favorite mouse. It's Bluetooth. The only thing is, Bluetooth is rubbish, and you have to like poke it every so often to you have to poke it to wake it up. Sorry to trigger you, Star Trek fans. Oh, Marty was on there twice. Oh, cool. Brilliant. Gosh, this takes quite a long time, doesn't it? So I'm using OBS, and I have it set to using the VA API setting to do the encoding. So it's encoding using the GPU, but this is an Intel machine, so it's using the GPU bit on the CPU, I guess. I haven't got an NVIDIA GPU in this machine, so it's just using the on die GPU part of the CPU, I guess. I don't know how this works. And I think that's probably why this is taking longer than usual, because I'm streaming and stuff. It swirls. Hey, swirls. Right, so that's the noise reduction done. Save. The tracks are aligned. Now I need to find the start of the episode, which is, I think, about there. I think I ran this one. I probably say hello here.
Welcome to Season 13, Episode 6 of the Ubuntu Podcast.
My name's Alan. Oh gosh, there's a big gap there. Right, so what we also do is we have some, what we like to call furniture. So let me just cut everything from there backwards. I should have zoomed out for this, but all of that I don't need, because that's all us just lining everything up. So I'm just going to go yoink and delete all of that. So that's effectively the start of the show. Welcome to... And I should hear...
Hello, Alan.
Yeah, and then...
How you doing?
And then me introducing Martin.
And also Martin. Hello.
Yeah, that's right. So the audio's lined up. So we also have some bumpers and stuff, which is the old-timey music that we use. And I have those somewhere in a folder. Stings, there we go. Cleaned up recordings. So I have a folder with some WAV files. And this is the intro, you know, the ye olde, old-timey. Yes, I did my track, Daniel. I think. Pretty sure I did mine. And I'm just going to drag this in. Yeah, the problem is I sometimes do this kind of on autopilot, and the downside with that is I either forget to do stuff. I end up chatting to you guys, and anyway, if I select these three and then use the move tool and just slide those out the way, this is going to be loud. Sorry, that's our intro music. And if I, what was it? Control mouse wheel to zoom in. Oh, wrong way. I need a thing for scrolling left and right as well, because this is, I need to zoink these over here, because that's the start of the thing. So the intro music is really loud there, and then it calms down a bit here, and this is where we start talking over the top of this. Let me just shrink that up a little bit so you can see. So I need to shifty these over to about there, so that when the music calms down, that's not far enough. Go over a bit more. Welcome. Still too far. Let's zoom in and see why I'm not lining this up. You kind of want it to calm down and then have a beat and then zonk, and then there's me. Welcome to season 13, episode 6. Yeah, that's about right. Hold middle mouse button to drag. Oh, wow. Really? What does that drag? Oh, whoops. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, brilliant. That's that bit, and then so this is the intro part where we're chatter up to about here, I think, where we ask what you've been doing, and Mark's been playing video games or something, probably.
And whole rooms might change shape in response.
Yeah.
Was the original 6 or 7 hours so far? I'm not all the way through.
And no 0-day bugs or patches were required. Everything was just peachy.
Excellent media coverage, I thought.
Yes, great. Hang on.
That's good value, that, isn't it?
That is good value, yeah.
Where's the bit where I say get on with the show?
With the team after the...
No, for that led up to the pinnacle of all Ubuntu releases. Okay, this is confusing because I think there's intro, then where do we get to?
For people who didn't have an N64 to play it on.
Oh, hang on. Oh, this is Mark talking about Doom 64.
You are playing...
And then, and then...
6 or 7 hours so far. I'm not all the way through it. I'm not even half the way through
it. For £4. That's good value, that, isn't it?
That is good value, yeah.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that. Let's get on with the show. Oh, there it is. That's the let's get on with the show bit. And so if I F1 and slice down that bit there, I don't know how to do this clipping thing. I want to cut all three of those tracks. Someone's going to tell me how to do this. Why is your intro music so long? Well, we like it. Oh, thanks, Nate. So I want to cut that, and I use Control I think. There we go. And then I should be able to move these with F5. So I just shift these up a bit. I'm just going to shift them out of the way. I realise they're now all out of sync. Do not fret. And then I need another bit of audio to slot in there, which I get from my little folder of stuff, stings, and it's called Long Sting 1. And if I just drag it in here like that, it'll go there, and I don't want it there. I want it there. I don't need this track anymore. Remove track. There we go. So I've got this track here, which is the bit in between. It's like a little bumper. You can hear it if I play the right bit. There we go. There you go. So that needs to go. I realise for all of you, this is incredibly frustrating watching me do this because I'm not very good at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that. Let's get on with the show. It needs to be a bit closer. Thanks for that. Let's get on with the show. I'll do. And then we yoink these back over this way so that I start talking shortly after that little sting finishes playing, and these will line back up with themselves, so the cut point will be all right. Like that. Something like that. Oh gosh, I need to check the chat. Nate says, love the music. I actually found downstairs, I was tidying up, and I found the sheet music for our intro song. I can't remember where I got it. I think Tony bought it for me as a present. That's loud. That's not close enough. This is why we don't edit our show, and we would prefer somebody else to edit it. Because it's just like... So it doesn't actually matter if there's gaps, because we do actually shrink out the silences. So it's all good. Bigger things to be frustrated about. Yeah, I guess. Right, so I'm just going to save that because, you know, save. Now, this section here is, you notice it's mostly Martin's waveform. That's because we're talking about Ubuntu 2004. And so there's me and Mark interjecting with some questions, and then Martin basically speaking all the way through here, and then probably cracking a joke and me laughing at this point, I imagine.
Running, but you will by October in later than a year.
Oh, you tease.
I know.
Oh, no, maybe not. So somewhere along here, you should see me saying that's the end of that nonsense. Is that here?
Mm-hmm.
So we're
talking
what am I
about
rumbling around
someone installing 2004.
No. So it's still Martin talking to us. This is a big long segment. And then this is command line love, I imagine.
This was a request from one.
Yes, so this is me saying it's command line love. And so there, I need another cut about there. Here. So let's just go zoink like that, and say Control I, and then F5, and slide these out of the way. Oops. Oh God, what did I just do? Did I just do something bad? No, I don't think I did. And then I need to get another sting. This one. Boink. And make that small. And move it. Ooh, move it. Sorry, my laptop's a little bit slow. So that's why this is all like jumping around all over the place. I think OBS is telling me I'm getting a frame rate of about 30 frames a second. That's probably all right. If you select all tracks, how do you select all tracks? Because if I go, how do I do that? How do I? Ooh, I have moved that to the wrong place. Have I? No. Track. Remove track. There we go. Hey Eric, how you doing? So if I want to do that one, and that one, I can't select them all from here because that'll move this half, and I don't want to move the first half. I only want to move the second half. How do I just select that? Oh God, what did I do? Oh no. So this needs to go, because this is me saying that's the end of that segment, I guess.
2004.
That's me asking for feedback, I suspect. And there's a nice
2004.
Perfect. And then there's me introducing the command line love. Love. Somewhere out there. Click at the start of the first track, then shift click. Click at the start of the first track, and then shift click. Nope. Click at the start. I clicked. Oh, I should be in that tool and go shift. Oh. Click at the start and then shift. Yeah, but I don't want to select a chunk. I want to select the entirety of this bit here and move it. Sorry, right click, then shift right click. Okay, so right click here. I want to click. Nope. Right, shift. Nope. Nope. I'm right clicking. Nope. Right click, then shift right click. I don't know how you do that. Right click. Nothing is happening. Right click, shift. Nope. Right click. Nope. No, don't know what's going on. So I'll go back to my manual process of going whoop, 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 and moving them individually or whatever. So then that audio finishes, and then there's me saying this is command line love.
And now it's time for
Command line love. That was awful.
I can't do that. Mark,
Hello.
did we get this sent to us? Or was this one you?
That bit doesn't sound good, does it?
Did
Hello.
we get this?
So here's an example of how I get rid of a bit that doesn't sound good. That we're talking over each other, so I just go effect. No, generate silence. Generate silence, and because I've got that bit highlighted, it generates that amount of silence. And I hit OK, and it goes boink and disappears like that. When you have your selection, control, click, and drag. When I have my selection, but my selection is, so if I want to select, I mean, I could probably go like that. No, that's me controlling. What about shift click? Oh. Yeah, that's got it. And now if I F5, can I? Yeah, that's how you do it. But yeah, well done. Thank you. That would. Now let me put that back. There we go. So that's Mark
Iteration names
talking about that.
you're trying to say, and then give you an auto completion.
None of that made sense to me.
Enormous success, and be happy with it.
Yeah,
I think you're probably right there.
yeah. I had a conversation with the.
Is that the end of command line love? I think it is.
I don't quite know how.
If you've got
I
a
guess I
bash
should-
script, which
Some of them this week have been very.
Oh, that's the end of the command line
There
love.
we go. Thank you very much, Mark, and your colleagues. The command line love for this week.
Right, so that's the end of the command line love. The only reason I'm doing this is because I want to do all the cuts and get all the audio in. So F1, do a cut down there, and then what was it? Control I, and then F5, and then zoink, and I need to put another. Gosh, another. Whoop. Nope, not that one. This one. Sting. Let me shrink this up again. Generate silence sounds like a Borg mother would say to her. So, yeah, we used to play. I don't know if anyone else has done this. Our parents will know this game, the quiet game. It's a terrible thing. Let's play the quiet game, everyone. First one to speak loses. We play it in the car. Oh God, oh no, I want to get rid of that track. Remove track. I'm not very good at telling you what I'm doing, but I'm good at telling you stupid games I play with my kids. Yeah, we used to drive and get annoyed with the kids. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? So we'd say, okay, let's play the quiet game, and then whoever speaks or makes a noise first loses. Usually one of the kids. Sometimes me. Gosh, that's loud.
And now it's time for...
Yeah, that's a bit too close. But, I mean, not too bad. What do you win if you don't speak? Calmness is what you win. Tracks, align tracks, start at cursor. Interesting. Looks a bit on the quiet side. Yes, all of that stuff will happen later. I'm just cutting it together, and then all the normal... Hello, Chris. All the normalization and not noise removal, all of that happens after I cut all this in. It's all good. Yeah, I'm still in my editing process. I'm still like here, and I've got all of this left to do. So yeah.
That's Telegram.
I think the difference between
Right, that's reading feedback, blah 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 blah. All feedback, and then that's me saying goodbye. I think that's the end of
all of your lovely feedback.
That's that. F1. Donk. Oh man, I just moved it, didn't I? Where did that go? Was that all in line? Where did that go? Oh man, this mouse wheel zoom thing that I've now learned is not good for me, is it? Okay, that's good. Where was I? I said there, so I need to be here. That's what I was doing. I was cutting that, wasn't I? Control I. Just after you drag, you're sitting there and your cursor is to where you want the track to be. So align track, start a cursor. I will give that a try. So if I do that, I could just like grab all of that and F5. F5. Yeah, that works. That works. Huh. Is that the end of the command? It is, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. That goes in there. Final bit. No, I want to remove that track. Zonk. So, everyone upgraded to 2004 then?
This show. Thanks for that. That's all of your lovely feedback.
That's a very kind offer of you, Joshua. Send me the files. I can edit the podcast for you. Now, that's a very kind offer. And we have had people offer that before. I'm not saying yours is not a genuine offer. I'm just saying we have had people offer that before, and we've sent them the files, and they've gone, "Oh, holy cow, this is awful," and then changed their mind and said, "Nope, don't want to do that." And we're like, "Oh, okay," which is partly why I'm editing it right now. So I think that is me just going, "Stop recording."
And scene.
And scene. Yeah, that's pretty stupid. That's the end of it. So I now need to slot in the outro. Zoink. Where's the outro? Over there. Outro. Oh my gosh, this mouse wheel scroll is too much. I think I have the mouse wheel stepping thing too much. Josh says, I've got nothing better to do. Well, indeed. I mean, it's either this or tidy my son's bedroom, and he can do that himself. So the outro bit, it plays over you while you're talking, like that. In theory. So while you're in the middle of saying goodbye, blah 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 blah,
a whole lot of,
it starts
virtual events and education
fading up, and don't worry about the levels. That will get normalized out later.
Sitting at home. So if you've heard,
I'm going to take that about there, because then it fades up when.
and we'll see you all next time.
Yep, that's it. Yeah. I need to get rid of that bottom track, don't I? That one. Tracks. remove. So all I've done so far is top and tail and add in the audio. So a story about that audio. These audio files that you see here, it used to be that we had someone called, let's call them Samantha, and Samantha would play these jingles in while we recorded the show. And when we were recording on Mumble, myself, Martin and Mark would all be connected to Mumble, and we'd all be recording our own audio, and Samantha would connect and she would record her own audio and she would play these jingles out into the track. And we did that so that it would be as easy to edit, if you like, because everyone would be in sync. Me, Mark, Martin and Samantha would all be in sync. But we recently switched from using Mumble to using Jitsi, and the reason we use Jitsi is so that we can see each other, so we can wave at each other and, you know, make hand gestures as if to say time to wrap up. Because you'll notice this is 36 minutes long, and it's always about 36 minutes long because we're pretty religious about keeping to time. And with Jitsi, we can wave at each other. We have the webcams on. With Mumble, that was a lot harder. And part of the problem was we would overrun. And it's very difficult. Well, it's not difficult. You could just say, hey, Mark, that's enough now. Let's move on. But then at some point, someone's going to edit that out. And us talking is more editing. And we always wanted to reduce the amount of editing because the more editing there is, the more effort is required to get the show out. And none of us like editing at all. We always prefer someone else doing it. So when Joe, when he was working at JB, when he offered to do it for us, there was A, he would do a better job, and B, we wouldn't have to do it. So it was a double whammy of, yes, please. But unfortunately, he can't do that now. Excuse me, taking a drink. Well, he could if we paid him, because he's now currently unemployed. Long story, see his Twitter for why. Anyway, so in theory, that's that bit done. I've done the noise removal. I don't need to gate anything. Now what I want to do is I haven't done the EQ, have I? Have I done the EQ? No, I haven't. So if I select all of these, a lot of people listen to podcasts in their car, and Mark and me, and to some extent Martin, all have quite low voices. And if you don't do EQ on it, and get rid of the low rumbly audio, then in the car it will just be really hard to listen to. So we just zero out the bottom 6 sliders in the EQ, and that takes out some of our bassy tones. Martin's making Ubuntu Podcast roast potatoes. Oh, I could do with some roast potatoes right now. Oh no, Jill's here. Now Jill's an expert at this kind of stuff, and I'm going to look like a right chump. Oh man, all the audio experts in here. Chris is doing podcasty stuff and has professional audio equipment, and oh god. So Yannick says the editing is a long process. It usually takes 2 to 3 times the recording time to edit everything. Yeah, I mean, I cranked out episode 5 this morning in about an hour, and it was about 35 minutes long. But I wasn't doing a live stream, and I wasn't chatting to people, and the live stream wasn't eating my CPU alive. So it's certainly... Vince says we should draw straws. Well, let's just have a think. Back in the day, in the early days of the podcast, bear in mind this is season 13, and we've done one season per year, so we're into our 13th year now. In the early days, 13 years ago, I just had my son. Sam's 13 now, and my daughter was 3. And so I didn't really want to edit it. And so we go through phases of each of us not really wanting to do it. And right now, Mark's got a little baby, and so his time is precious, and he doesn't really want to do it. And Martin's just got this new super high-powered, high-flying gig running the Ubuntu desktop, and has lots of additional responsibilities that he didn't have before. And so time is precious for him, and he has a young child as well. My kids are pretty self-sufficient, and they just like disappear off into their own rooms. So I'm the one with some disposable time. You know, the fact that I can sit here on a YouTube video doing this is like a testament to that. Anyway, that's the equalization done. I need to do some compression. So this is my shortcut way to do this. Yes, I could do this much better, but this is my shortcut way. So individual track, select compressor, and the settings we use are 20, 30, and then for each individual one we use 2.5 to 1. Oh, 2.5, 5, 20, 1.0, and then hit OK. So you compress each one of these individually, but not hers, not Samantha. And then later we'll mix these down and it will all sound better. Poor man having to do this in post. Yes, it's not something I relish. Getting better at it, but I don't enjoy it. It's it's much nicer doing it while you lot are watching, because I can have a chat with some people while I'm doing it. And this is the first time I've ever edited this live. Tony came up with the process originally. He was on the show for the first 8-9 seasons, and he made a video. Actually, there's probably a screencast kicking around somewhere on YouTube of him editing a show from season 2 or something, because he ended up editing it all the time and he was getting a bit narked with having to edit it all the time. So we compressed that one. Now we compress this one. Same settings, go. Yeah, if we had hardware and we're all local and we could do all of this, I was watching Ven Stone did a video yesterday where he was showing the some audio processing software, and he had a fan directed at his microphone while he was testing this thing, and then just pressed the button to turn the audio on, and it was amazing how good it was. Yeah, one of the problems with having remote locations is latency. So sometimes these audio things will get out of sync with each other. It was worse when we were using, it can be worse with video because there's more traffic, and sometimes there's a delay when we're talking to each other. And if there's a delay when we're talking to each other, then our audio becomes out of sync slightly with each other, which is a bit frustrating. We used to do it all in the same room, but that meant I used to drive 50 miles down to Tony's house, and that, on a weekend or in an evening after I've been at work all day, getting in a car and driving 50 miles to go and sit and chat. I mean, it's nice every other week, but yeah, it was nice to not do that anymore. And then we moved to Laura's house, and we were driving to her house in Winchester. And that was nice. It was nice to get out and see friends, Do you remember when you could go out and see friends? But we switched and decided to do it all remote. And because I think we'd already had 10 plus years and we knew each other really well, I've known Martin and Mark for 10 plus years, obviously. We have that rapport. Whereas when it's people you don't know very well, the, shall we say, banter, for want of a better word, is a bit trickier. Vince has mentioned pulse effects. I've not tried that yet. I've heard about it, but Pulse is hot garbage. Tell you what, Chris, you go back in time 10 years before Pulse existed, and you couldn't play a audio file, have YouTube open, and have Skype open at the same time. Not possible. So Pulse is light years ahead of the awful audio system we had before. Right, panning. So we this is another thing that Joe hates, is we do this in stereo. So I will pan Mark 1 notch to the left. The person who speaks the most, we do 1 notch to the left. the person who speaks the next most, which I suspect is me, is one notch to the right. And then Mark is 2 notches to the left. And then Samantha is stereo. Now, at this point, I should listen to the whole thing, but what I'm going to do is press save. What I'm going to do is mix it down to 1 track and compress it. Then I'm going to listen, because I've actually got 4 days before this needs to go out. 5 days before this needs to go out. So I've got plenty of time to tweak it. I'm not going to subject you to listen to this whole 36 minutes of this. I can listen to that offline and then come back in here and tweak it in any way I want. So what we then do, assuming I've listened to that all the way through, is we select all of the tracks and we mix and render it down to 1 track. So I go mix and render to new track. And that will create a new track down the bottom, down here, which is all of these put together. Yes, Daniel's mentioning that RTX voice thing. I've seen a couple of videos where people were like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is the most amazing audio processing thing ever. And then you watch Ven Stone's video where he's saying, well, yeah, but look at this piece of open source software that doesn't require a GPU in order to shrink the background noise out of your audio. And it was really good to watch Ven's video. It was like night and day, like when you listen to the bit with a fan. And then suddenly, no noise. You could certainly hear the squelchy, like underwatery noise, but I guess you can squash that as well. Right, so then we end up with this track down here. Holy cow. Once we've got that, we then go... what's next? Oh, compress. Effect, compress, and we tweak this down to 2. You know what I should do? I should put this document on a editable place. I should put it on HackMD or something, because it's in Markdown. I should put it on HackMD, and then you guys can all tell me where it's wrong and leave comments and suggest a better way of doing it. That is a good idea. I'll do that at the end of the video. Once we've finished doing all of this, I'll get the source for these podcast notes, and then I'll put it somewhere public, and we can do that together. Because I've seen suggestions in here. Yes, Joshua, there will be amplification, and it may well be that there are things I'm doing wrong, because we've been doing this. This document is the same as it's been for like 5 years. So yeah, if it certainly could be improved, I would welcome that. Especially if there was like something I said to Joe many times is, wouldn't it be good if we could just completely automate this? And you look at this applying compressor. I'm sure there's a FFmpeg line I could use to apply a compressor, and the bit where I'm mixing all the tracks to 1 track. That's just adding a bunch of WAV files together into another track. FFmpeg could probably do that. And he was aghast at the mere suggestion that you could automate the work of an audio production engineer. How dare you, Alan, suggest that you could automate me out of a job? Yeah, Yannick, you should definitely do a video. Chris is right. You should do a video that shows you editing. We should do this as a round robin thing. Like, tag the next person in line, get them to show them editing and their process, and we could all raise all ships, as they say. Yeah, Chris says, anytime I watch someone doing edits, I learn a couple of new things. It's one of those things, don't do this. Don't do a podcast. How long have we been doing this? Nearly an hour. Well, that's about right, actually. That's about how long I spend doing the production, is about an hour. The time I did it a couple of weeks ago, it was an hour and a half. I can't remember why it took so long. I think I was a bit more fastidious about cutting people out. But as the season starts, we're really terrible about being strict about what we say. We're really bad at like fluffing our lines, and we're not very relaxed. And about 5 or 6 episodes in, we start getting more relaxed, and we know what's coming, and we know what to say, and we don't flub our lines all the time. Because some of it's written down and some of it isn't. And by episode 6 onwards, by about now, it's got to the point where I don't have to edit quite so much. I don't have to like cut out every time someone goes, but we try not to edit that stuff out anyway, because we want it to be as live, and we are human beings, and human beings make noises. And I know some people hate that, but hey ho, we are human beings. Right, next, amplify. So I just have that track highlighted, and I go effect, amplify, and we have this set to highlight the if there's any. No, we don't do this. No, we don't. No, lies. I don't do this. I only need to do that if there's another person, like an external person who has a different. Nope. Truncate silence. Have I missed? I feel like I've missed something. I just did compression. Highlight the whole track. Effect, truncate silence. And then we have that one set to -40. Those two set to 1. Hit OK, and it might shrink the track a tiny bit. Not a lot. Yeah, it won't shrink it much, I don't think. Hey ho, we are human beings. Good line to live by. Well, you know, none of us went to audio recording school, and none of us are journalists. Right, that is it, I think. I feel like I've missed something vital here, but maybe not. I'm scrolling through this document. There's nothing in here that is jumping out at me that I should have done. Well, I'm going to have a test listen and find out. That peak there is getting on my nerves, that's for sure, and that one. But we shall have a test listen. So what I tend to do now is we export out selected audio, and I export it out as a FLAC. Ubuntu Podcast. I need to create a folder for it. Again, we use sync thing for those who weren't here at the start. This folder that's in my home, Ubuntu Podcast, is a sync thing folder. And I just drop this in here, and it will synchronize across to Mark and Martin's machines, and they can have a listen to it as well. Right. I'm going to, while that is doing that, I reckon I can get the audio production notes. Bear with me one moment. They're on a website I have to log into, but there's no reason they can't be public. It's called Podcast Mastering, and where can I put it? I could put it in a gist or something, or I could put it in GitHub or something, couldn't I? That's probably the easiest thing to do. Right, so github.com, Popey, can I do this in the 23 seconds left before this finishes exporting? I'm doing this on another screen because I've got to log in and all that nonsense. I could just put this as a gist, couldn't I? Is it gist or is it gist? I don't know. GIF or GIF. Podcast mastering .md. Right. So that's it. So it mentions Dropbox and stuff like that, but you can ignore that. Create public gist. That's it, isn't it? Oh, do I have to give it a description? Oh no, I don't. There we go. So you can find this very easily at the URL I'm about to drop in here. I don't know if that's the real URL or it's some kind of encoded URL. But it is here. I have it open in Firefox here. If you go to my GitHub, so if you go to github.com/popey, my poor laptop, and somewhere up here, is there your gists? There we go. It's the top one there, podcast mastering. So it should be easy to find. So that is what I did. Yeah, feel free to leave comments. I assume you can leave comments on gists. Yeah, you can. There you go. Or fork it, and I think you can fork gists, can't you? Maybe not. Oh, look, there's forks. Yes, you can. Okay, so yeah, someone could fork that. If you have suggestions on how I can improve this, that'd be awesome. I think that's it. So I should have, what I tend to do at this point is E6. Sorry for the bonk. So it's there, and sync thing will be syncing that, and then I just like sit and listen to it. Just dial that back. It's really loud.
Oh, good.
Yep. Right. Done. Woohoo. It's already been forked. Brilliant. Thanks for watching. That's it, really. I don't know what else there was for me to say, but that is the process that we go through. It's probably flawed. It's not great. The audio quality isn't perfect. If people have suggestions on how we can improve it, feel free to leave a comment below, and I won't be offended if people tell me the audio quality is terrible, Alan, because we know that. And the gist, I will put a link in the notes below when this goes live. But it's been really lovely having all of you in the chat, throwing suggestions and moral support, because this was an awful lot easier with all of you here. I can tell you that. I'm sat here on my own in the quiet, listening to my own voice in Audacity. It's not much fun. So I might do this again sometime. Yeah. Thanks again, everyone. Have a good rest of your weekend. I hope you have a lovely bit of time off, whatever you do when you're not on the weekend. And maybe see you again next time. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.